morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Wednesday, September 3rd, 2025. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Happy Hump Day, everyone. Here's a look at the ES in the daily time frame. Today is one of the smaller economic calendar dates here. We don't really have much on the economic calendar. 9 a.m. Central, we do get JOLTS job openings. After that, FOMC member Kashkari speaks. Beige Book at 1 o'clock p.m. That's going to be the big one later on. And up until then, we could remain an inside day. Even until then, we could remain an inside day. Notice how big yesterday's range was. 199% of average range, nearly double average range. And then it closed the day near the midpoint of its session. When that happens, high odds the next day is an inside day, at least early in the day. As we approach Beige Book, we'll see how volatility shakes out this afternoon. But the big portion of the week comes up Thursday, a ton of economic data, and then Friday with NFP report as well. So today could be mostly range bound. Watch the 6460 level up here. If we start to top out a little bit, it wouldn't be surprising to see us drop into new lows on the day. 6420 back up and back and forth. It could become a wide-ranging trading range day near the center of the previous session's range for the most part, as this market continues to build out at these highs. We barely held on to that 6380 level. That was the level we talked about yesterday. If we fail there, it opens up quite a bit more downside. If it can hold there, then it holds there. We got a nice little trap below there. Great bounce back up. And now holding in the upper half of last month's range. Holding pattern here ahead of NFP report on Friday. Now looking at the NQ, similar price action here as well. The previous session, big range to the downside, 165% of average range. By the end of the day, we had bounced back to the midpoint and even got a little bit of a squeeze late in the day. This would suggest trading range action today, even inside day price action. Even if we fail at the midpoint here, we're still kind of in this wider range here. Again, the expectation not for a super wide range early in the session, but there's definitely some volatility here this week and to end last week. So we are definitely in a rising volatility situation here. And for the most part, it could be building energy again for Thursday and Friday economic data points. And still building at these highs, building within this range up here. This is the entirety of the Q3 range so far. And we have this month to finish out for Q3. And then we move to Q4, which could provide a pretty significant opportunity down the road, especially if it's an outside quarter up. That could be tremendous. So we'll be watching to see how this finishes the month. But again, when you finish a previous month here near the monthly midpoint, there's a tendency to come down to the edge and bring it back up, or go up to the edge and bring it back down as we continue to build out within this trading range. At some point, we could see some movement away from this range, but still building energy until proven otherwise. Watching crude oil here. Another smackdown of crude oil, down 2.25% after being up about that amount the previous session. A big time push yesterday through 64s. You see this rounded bottom coming out. You see this big push here. But one thing we don't see is a continuation move lately. Not in crude oil lately. Every time we go up, this thing's been getting smacked back down. And here we go again. Big time smackdown today. A huge reversal. Now, if you look at yesterday's range, not the entirety of the range, but most of the day's range is a key range. So from the high of the day down to perhaps about that 6450 level. Let's see, 6450. That right there is a key range here. And that could provide the next 1.5 directionally speaking here. So that means if we're pushing back to the downside, 63s are still in play based on that key range. But for the most part, another trap in reverse after strength. This market here really can't buy a val to the upside. Even though value's up above, at 71.53. It still can't even get there. At some point we may, but right now still struggling here. And at some point within the next 4 to 5 weeks, we may be starting a bearish seasonal pattern as well. So whatever strength we do see this month might be the end before we see selling pressure into mid December. All right, let's look at gold futures here. Gold up 0.5% the previous session. Massive, massive breakout. This was a huge breakout day here. The previous session, nearly 100 points of range, about 96 points of range, breaking through the top of the large ascending pattern here, that ascending wedge right there. The back end of that pattern is 500 points. We've mentioned before, once we get a breakout move, it's going to be a 500 point trending or markup phase toward the next target. And if we're breaking through 3,500, we've talked about 4,000 being that upside target down the road. All of this energy here, does it start to come out over the next few months to the upside? So this was the type of breakout we needed, a massive, massive transitional day. We're still kind of in this sloping pattern here. It still wouldn't be surprising if we get another turn back down, as we have each and every time after these major rallies here lately. We've seen significant turnarounds. But this looks the part for transition through the top of that ascending wedge. This is a massive, massive breakout move, not only in gold, but in the metals complex as well. Does this lead to more upside up ahead? The answer is likely yes. At the very least, 37.73 by way of the recent key range here. So to be breaking through the top of that key range so significantly, reaching the 50% extension, any pullback could be a buying opportunity for at least 37.73 over the next several weeks. All right, looking at the YM. Here's the YM right here. This one also with a wide range the last session here. The range was about 700 points and then finished near the midpoint of the day's range right there. So that's the midpoint. Here's the finish. That's your wide range yesterday. The expectation is inside day today. This is something we noted in our trading room yesterday afternoon. Look for a trading range inside day to develop early the next day. So playing according to plan here at the moment. The key level to watch here will be that 45,000 level right there. Yesterday's low, exactly 45K. 45K is also our key market structure level. And if we failed through that level, there's an opening all the way across the range back toward that 43.4 and perhaps even below into 43,000. So this is going to be an early key level to watch here, especially with Beige Book later this afternoon and additional economic data points the rest of the week. If we fail at 45, we open up a push into that low. Once we get maybe to 43,000, that could provide the next bounce opportunity. And of course, a failure here opens up the next 2,000 below. So big time levels here coming up at 45,000 and then perhaps 43,000 down the road if this one is taken out. All right, let's take a look here at Bitcoin. This one had a surprising turnaround in the previous session, a big time rally right in the 8 o'clock hour at the RTH Open, and then held those gains, squeezed into the close. Thrust reversal was on point. Big time reversal, not only at the previous session's low after a high range day down, but the previous month's low as well. That was a tremendous signal and reversal there. Recovered the previous mid and now holding at the highs at the moment within a narrow range, 34% of average range. Is this enough of a bounce? This is something we talked about before, was the 110 level. 110 to 112 was the zone here. We can drop as deep as 110, mess around there, and if we start to bounce, it wouldn't be surprising if we hit new highs. We fail here and we open up a further continuation. And so you can see this market hanging on to the previous month's low and also the previous quarter's close for now. We're still in an uptrend overall. This has been a little bit deeper and heavier of a pullback. We haven't really been able to push beyond prior pivot highs. So is this going to be another lower high that leads to more weakness, or can we push beyond 115 and really open things up to the upside? Still remains to be seen here, but 110 continues to be the major pivot to watch up ahead for Bitcoin. Looking at ETH, this one's up 2.33% right now. Nice little bounce here overall today. We've had quite a bit of weakness as well. This was a significant blow-off style top. Massive back-to-back days. One of the single few highest range days we've seen on that blow-off move to the upside. We've since rotated a bit lower, but still remain in a highly bullish trend. One thing with this one here is if we do get a pullback that goes sub 3,200, say into 3,100, 3,000, 2,800, anywhere in that zone could provide the next double. Anywhere in that zone. And so how much of a pullback can we get here ahead of a Q4 rally? We'll see. This market's been highly bullish at the moment, and we could still stay kind of in this upper end of the range between 4,200 and 48, 4,900. But for the most part, any significant pullback could be an opportunity to buy ahead of a significant Q4 rally. So we'll see what we get out of this one. But right now, showing a little bit of modest strength here, but not yet enough strength to suggest a swing buying opportunity just yet. All right, that is it for now. We'll see how this plays out here heading into the rest of the session. Good luck, trade well, and I'll see you in the trading room. Take care.